Well, we're back again. We got a program now that I think you're going to find really interesting. I want you guys to participate if you can. We all have a story to tell about being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, don't we? You do. I know you do. I'm sure you experienced things that were somewhat awkward at times, somewhat saddening at times, and somewhat downright dishonest at times, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So you can tell your story here tonight. If anyone wants to come in a little bit when I open up the lines, and you just want to give a little repertoire of your trek in the Watchtower, by all means, you could do that. But anyways, my name's Rick Farron. I'm here at the Six Screens Network, and we have a network that is doing really fine. I'm not complaining. Our little network is gaining a lot of momentum, and our network comprised of about 17, 18 different programs right now that we do live. And, you know, we're one of the only YouTube people that do it live. There's a lot of snafus and difficulties that can go on when you do a video live, but we're willing to take that risk. And we have people call in from all over the world to voice their opinions on their trek in the Watchtower. It's amazing to me. It just really is amazing to me that we've gained this amount of traction. Of course, we've been doing it for a number of years now, going on 18 years. But we do have a lot of people that do listen into the program and send messages to me, and I thank you for doing that. But, you know, I have to tell you, I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses for a good part of 50 years of my life. I no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I see that they were involved in things that I'm not proud of them for being involved with. First of all, they don't teach the scriptures properly. They are falsifying biblical understanding purposely to suit their agenda. And another thing, I mean, there's so many scandals too, and so many dark secrets that the Watchtower is hidden from so many people, like being involved in the UN and being involved with Johannes Grieber, a known spiritist. So many false prophecies. I mean, where would you really stop? I could go on for a half hour just telling you all about what the Watchtower has done wrong, but that's not the purpose of this program. The purpose of this program tonight is to give you a voice. Everybody has things they'd like to tell us about their connection with the Watchtower, things they'd like to say on how they were hurt even or touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So that's what we're going to do here tonight. But, you know, it's just amazing to me that there's so many people. We all have stories to tell, and you know, the 18 years of doing this, or close to 18 years of doing this, we've heard a lot of stories, and people have come on, and you know, they had us in tears at times. Some of the horrific stories that people have been involved with because of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Their life has been turned upside down. But not everybody has. Not everybody has. Some people come out of the Watchtower and they're pretty much unscathed. And maybe that's you. Maybe you're listening in. You say, well, geez, Rick, nothing ever happened to me. But, you know, the point would be there are people that have really totally been hurt. So what we're going to do, we do have a number of people still listening in on our telephone line. If there's anyone who'd like to come on, and maybe some of you guys have never spoke up before, that's fine too. But if you have, why don't you just give us a little simple understanding of why you left the Watchtower, why you no longer want to be a witness? I mean, we won't take a whole lot of time, but if you want to share it 5 or 10 minutes of your trek in the Watchtower, well, this would be a great time to tell it. I mean, everyone likes to tell a story, right? And we all love to hear a story. We really, really do. So I'm going to open up the lines right now. If you'd like to talk about your trek in the Watchtower, well, go ahead and hit *6 and just give us a little synopsis, a little brief understanding of your position when you were one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you enjoyed it or what really got you out. So go ahead. I know it's going to be kind of hard mustering up the courage to come on. Many people are somewhat inhibited. But if you want to come on and talk, is hit *6 on your telephone pad, and that'll bring you on. But if not, I'll just keep talking. All right, I'll just keep talking, and that's what I'd like to do. In fact, I'm going to put the telephone number up. on our. I do see we do have we have Chicago, Illinois coming in 312. What do you want to say? Does 312 want to say something? Go ahead. You're on with us. *6. I'll unmute you. I'll unmute you. All right. Looks like they might be having a problem unmuting.
Mr. Barron, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'll be extremely brief. I was really just seeking an opportunity to build my faith in the organization, and I just decided to research the destruction of Babylon, or Babylon's destruction of Israel, as Watchtower put it in 607 BCE. And I thought, surely by now, there's probably all kinds of new information from archaeology and the scientists and the people that study the history and all of that, that it would be even more fascinating to see how the Bible was proved true with respect to that, or how Watchtower was proved true with respect to that. And so I started reading, and I just did a quick Google search. I was at lunch, and I just typed in, when did Israel get destroyed by Babylon? And all of the sites, except for two, said 587, 586. I think there was one that put something like 590, but the only two that had 607 were both Watchtower sites. It was somebody on Quora who was obviously a witness, and then of course jw.org. And so that really piqued my interest. Are you there?
I'm here. Yep.
Okay, sorry, it got so quiet. That really piqued my interest, and I said, because I am an IT professional, and I said, I don't think that only two people that have 607 BCE can be correct when 98% of these sites all have basically the same exact date. So I had to get to the bottom of that. So somehow in my research, I stumbled upon Carl Olaf Janssen, who I know passed away not too long ago. His what I'll call seminal work, The Gentile Times Revisited. And in that book, which is really not anti-witness, it's really just historical. And it's so well documented. And immediately I realized that I had been tricked by Watchtower, because Carl mentioned so many references. I mean, just reference after reference after reference. You read Watchtower Society publications, there's no references. There's just these general, it has been said, others have said, some scholars have said, but they never tell you who. Carl Olaf Johnson got down to the name of a publication, who published it, the year, sometimes even the page and the paragraph was how detailed he was. Watchtower gives you none of that. And then from there, I read because he specifically mentions Ray Franz, and that he was corresponding with Watchtower about his findings and how they shooed him off. So after Carl Olaf Johnson, Gentile Times Revisited, that took me into Ray Franz's book, Crisis of Conscience. And I think I was basically an ex-Jehovah's Witness in about 15 minutes.
Well, there you go. I mean, a lot of people did come out, Stephan. It's Stephan, right?
That it is.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of people did come out, Stephan, by that date being wrong. A lot of people said, no, that's it. Yeah. I've had it. So there you have historical fact showing the Jehovah's Witnesses were wrong. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even in the Bible, if you could go, if most of us are probably not going to do it, but even in the Bible, if you sit down and you look at that timetable that's in the Bible, and you correspond that to actual history, you'll get about that same date as well. So it's not the Bible that's wrong. It is purely Watchtower that's wrong. They have deceived us all about that date just so that they could have their 1914 date. And I'm going to go back on hold.
Well, there you go. Good for you, Stephan. Very, very good. I mean, really, well, thank you for sharing that. You did nice briefly, and we got an idea of what got you out. So 607, no. Good man. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on. Okay, we do have 614 calling in. 614, you're on with us.
Yeah, Rick, how you doing? This is Michael. How you doing? I'm calling you from the great city of Nashville today.
Well, it is a great city of Nashville. I love Nashville. A lot of good people down there. A lot of people listening to the 6 screens from Nashville. Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, same story as the person that just talked. But my story, I've told you before, was clear back in 1972 when I realized that the temple wasn't destroyed in 607 because I worked with a lot of Jewish people. They took me kind of like under their wings, showed me historical facts, books, everything. And I realized that the temple was destroyed in 587. And I'm the one who actually talked to Fred France about this personally, face to face. You remember I told him a story on your show before, and how he just kind of like smiled and walked away from me, and I knew that he didn't believe it himself, and that was in '72. And so, that was a big stepping point for me. But still, at that point, it still took about 7 to 10 years to actually get away from the organization. And then, and I don't know if this happened to you, Rick, but when you quit the organization, did you get angry inside and actually go a different direction completely? Because I actually turned against God completely when I found out all this stuff. Did that happen to you?
No, it didn't happen to me because I got out primarily on theological incorrectness. And very few Jehovah's Witnesses leave for that. Most Jehovah's Witnesses leave because the organization is so unloving, or they leave because of just the shenanigans that goes on in there, the disfellowshipping, the shunning, all of that. But very few get out because of theological teachings. But my former wife and I, we started seeing what they were saying was incorrect. My wife first picked up on it concerning the elder arrangement. She said that all elders, according to the Bible, should be anointed. And she's right with that. She was right. She died. She's not here with me anymore. But she was right with that thought. In fact, all elders should be anointed. They should have the heavenly hope. But they appoint people that don't, and they make them elders. That she really made a big fuss over that. And then she started getting me thinking about it, and we saw other little avenues of scripture that was not correct, and the Watchtower was not telling the truth on it. So we said that's it. We got a different Bible than the New World Translation and kind of wiggled our way loose. But that's interesting. You got out, Michael, on the 607, and a lot of people have. The former caller has as well. And I'd love to really hear from other people as well and what got them out. You don't have to do a whole long story if you don't. But if you want to come on for a few minutes and just tell us what got you out of the Watchtower, I'd like to do a little survey on that and see what we think. Well, Mike, you're a good man. I mean, you really are. You are now a Christian man. You wiggled your way back to at least wanting to believe in God and Scripture. So I commend you on that, Michael. You're a good man, Mike. Don't ever change.
Oh, thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. Nice talking to you, bud.
Can I add a comment to Mike?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Hey, it's Eric, and I'm from Nashville area as well. And if you ever wanted to talk, or I'm trying to get a group of people together to protest at the conventions or kingdom halls. And if anybody would ever want to do that, just throwing it out there. You got Rick's email, or you can email me at erikcubler1981@gmail. But a lot of what you said, brother, I really connect with, and it's a hard road, brother, and I just appreciate everything you had to say to the table. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm really not from Nashville. I'm just down here doing a service, doing some music today or this weekend. But I'm from Columbus, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. But I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem driving 6 hours down here and being with you, brothers. I'll tell you that. If you need me, give Rick my number, or he knows my number. You can call me anytime. I go all over the eastern part of the United States.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
Hey, Eric, while we got you on, Eric, why don't you just share with the audience just a few minutes and tell people what got you out of the Watchtower? What was the driving force, as it was? And we thank Mike, too, for coming on tonight. So go ahead, Eric. What was the driving force to get you out?
Well, I guess it was we were pushed out, both Desiree and I. That was the biggest driving force. I didn't fit in to their narrative. everything. I just had a rebellious spirit. Rebellious spirit. I realized, and I guess I'm a contradictory. I was a good Jehovah's Witness because I pioneered for a year. They wanted to make me servant at one point, but I didn't want it. And but I wasn't a good Jehovah's Witness because I smoked pot, and I always struggled with that. And knock it if you don't like it, but sometimes it's been proven that marijuana can kind of open your mind a little bit, and it kind of caused critical thinking in me. And Desiree is a very intelligent person. I think she hits around 150 or 160 on the IQ test, and she helped me wake up to things that were going on in the government. And once I went down that rabbit hole, I started to see things from Watchtower that weren't making sense. And the biggest thing that didn't make sense to me was because I had been always struggled with the truth, with quotation fingers. Because I always struggled with it. I had been in and out of elder rooms, and I just saw the hypocrisy through it all, and it started to really weigh on me. And the last time that I got disfellowshipped, it just after collectively 9 reinstatement letters, I had already realized before those 9 reinstatement letters that this wasn't the truth, but that was the nail in the coffin. How the heck are you going to keep collectively 2 people 9 reinstatement letters away from their loved ones just because? And at the end of the day, it had nothing to do with our sin, smoking weed, or my wife going, hanging out with the disfellowship person. All it had to do with was your allegiance to the governing body. And that was the big wake up call, Rick. It was like, okay, this ain't passing the smell test, like you say. I didn't baptize myself to the governing body. I thought it was God. I didn't do that for that. And if I knew, I would have never done it. And I feel like these men are major deceivers, and we all have a story to tell some way or another, how we were deceived and woke up from it.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Eric, could I ask you?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Eric, a question?
Sure.
Yeah, Eric, when you got out, did you feel any anger? And did you turn away from God at all? Or did you just...
to back this brother up, and I'm glad you asked me that. Yes, I did. I turned myself from God probably twice, both times disfellowshipped. And in fact, this is a common thing talked about, word on the street. Word on the street is from me and my wife, or my wife and I and other friends that I have that have been disfellowshipped. I have many. In fact, I had a crew of guys that were all disfellowshipped at once, and we all hung out. We'd play cards, smoke weed, drink a little beer. But the consensus is that when you get kicked out of your circle, and when they say you are no longer a Jehovah Witness, you're no longer a servant of God, you're no longer this or that, whatever they slander you with, you feel like that God has rejected you, and you go off to the dark side. And yes, I have done it, and so have a lot of other people, Yeah. In fact, the second time I got disfellowshipped, I didn't go to the dark side because I already went there. I just lived my life peacefully with my wife, and then a guy got disfellowshipped, and he called, and he was a friend of mine, and he rang me up, and this guy wanted to go to strip clubs and do cocaine, and I'm like, dude, I'm done with that. You see, he didn't get it. He got tattooed and everything. I don't have a problem with tattoos, but I'm just saying that when a person has certain standards and they get thrown out into the so-called world, it's not the world that did it to them. It's that they have all these they've been pent up their whole life, and now they lost everything, and they don't feel like they have value with God, and that's why I feel like people do that.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened to me, and the fact that they told me that I was a bad person now. I'm not a good person because I was in the organization. And what I did, and the biggest mistake, the biggest regret I have, is I believed them instead of believing God, who God said I was. I believed who they said I was. And it took me 10 years to get back to the Lord. He didn't let his hand go off of me. He got me back. And I'm thankful for that. But I believed what they said, and I didn't believe what God said.
You're not alone, brother.
Okay. Well, I feel for you. I feel with you, and I'm right there with you, brother. You need me, you get a hold of me, okay?
Oh,
Hey,
for
guys.
sure, man.
Hey, Eric.
Yes.
This is Stephen. If Mr. Farron doesn't mind, I've been dying to meet you over the phone and just tell you that I apologize. Every one of your shows I have missed because of work or some kind of responsibility that I had. And I just always felt bad because you needed people to call in, and I definitely would have called in and been a part of your show. But every time something happens. So I know you don't know me and you could probably care less, but I just felt bad, and I always wanted to tell you that. Mr. Farron, I just want to know if I can relate a very quick story. Another reason that made me realize this wasn't the truth.
Yeah, and
okay?
then what I want to say, we do have another man coming in from 213. Hold on, 213. When Stefan's done, you come in. But go ahead, Stefan. Yep.
I'll be very brief, but I thought this was very interesting. There is a guy that I've known, a witness, and he's still a witness, since I was a little kid. Maybe I was about, 5 years old when I met him. But in any event, he started bumping heads. This is way later in life. He started bumping heads with the elders. He moved to another city and state. And I got wind of this, and I called him up and I said, listen, you need to go to another hall, because you know how these elders can be. They can frame a narrative about you that you can't do anything against, and then they can do something to you, and you have no voice. And that's what they did. This brother was disfellowshipped for 18 years. 18 years. For what we would consider a non-disfellowshipping offense, simply not getting along with the elders. And for 18 years, he went to the majority of his meetings, always looked like a witness. You wouldn't have been able to tell that he was disfellowshipped. He didn't have a beard or an earring or anything. He's always dressed appropriately at all the meetings. And he would put in a reinstatement letter, and it would get denied. Basically, it would say, it's got to go back to the originating congregation. There's nothing we can do. This went to circuit overseer. They still had district overseers. It went to a district overseer. And no one could do anything about it. 18 years. And he sent letter after letter after letter to the society. I know because I saw him. It was a stack of letters, an inch thick, just folded out, of all the letters he sent to society. Never got one single response. At the end of the day, this last Kingdom Hall that he was going to, and he was just about at the point where he was going to give up and stop going. And I wish he would have, but he didn't. And there were a lot of single sisters in that hall. And so they started hounding the elders. Hey, listen, what's going on with this brother? We see him in all the meetings. He's dressed properly. He's been going for at least 2 years. He's always here. He's always smiling and happy. What is going on? Well, sister, we can't tell. Well, we can't tell you. But obviously, it seems like to us he should be reinstated. And they hounded these brothers so much that the brothers got involved. And they actually told him, listen, because he told them, he said, I'm not going to bother even putting in a reinstatement letter because I've been doing this for 18 years. I know what's going to happen. They said, just put it in. And they actually was able to make an arrangement with these brothers. And this brother was reinstated, or had the opportunity to be reinstated, on one condition, Mr. Farron. One condition. Not, have you been doing something that you've been doing all along? Have you stopped doing it? None of that. Nothing to do with that. It was simply, are you going to talk about the fact that you were disfellowshipped for 18 years and all the shenanigans that we took you through? If you're going to talk about that and tell people about it, then we're not going to reinstate you. He said he wasn't going to talk about it, and they allowed him to be reinstated. And when I saw that, I said, there's no way that this is any kind of an organization from God and that has God's Holy Spirit and it's theocratic. It's just a bunch of men who are just playing with people like Monopoly money.
Wow, that's a good analogy. Yes, indeed. Well, that's a good story. Well, thank you, Stefan, for telling it. Always appreciate it. Good to hear you on here. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Let's go to area code 213. You're on with us. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, John.
Hey, Rick, there was a sister in my hall. She was going to nursing school, and the elders gave her such a hard time because they was telling her that she better not draw blood from her patients and, blah, 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 blah. And they want them to just know everything that she was doing. And they told her that if there's another witness that comes as her patient, she's supposed to report to them about anything that, like she took they took a blood transfusion and all that. They hounded this sister so bad that she just gave up. She stopped going. She just stopped going. And, they eventually disfellowshipped her because she refused to go to a judicial committee. So they did it with her not even being there. I didn't think they could do that. But, I mean, they were just all in her business, though. I just don't understand, why do they feel they have to hound people about their careers,
Well, you're right. Well, I'll tell you, when you just roll it back there a couple of seconds ago when you mentioned disfellowshipping people without even being at the meeting. Well, there's a term for that that's called disfellowshipping in absentia. Disfellowshipping in absentia. And they did that to my former wife. She's dead now, but they disfellowshipped her in absentia. She wasn't even there, and they disfellowshipped her. That's how cruel the Watchtower is, John. It's terrible.
I know, but I mean, you would think that in nursing is, a good profession. They would want people to, go to nursing school and stuff like that, but they just gave her such a hard time, She just said, the hell with it,
Oh, John, it's, the more I talk, we talk here every Saturday night, it doesn't, this organization is not sensible. It really, really isn't. They don't make good, sound decisions. But people would always, I stay awake many a nights wondering, what is the glue? What is sticking people to this organization? It fascinates me. It really, really does. It's a psychological wonder how people stay in this organization where it's so wicked, but people do it. Unbelievable. John, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you very much, John. All right.
Bye, Rick.
Bye, John. Always good to hear from you, buddy. Always good to hear from you. Now, listen, if you want to tell you a little quick story on how you left the Watchtower, what was the reason for it? We'd love to hear it. You don't have to, give a whole long story or anything, but a brief few comments, maybe 5 or 10 minutes if you want. Tell us how you really felt about leaving the Watchtower. And I'm going to put our number up here so that you can call in because there's people on YouTube. They probably want to call in, and we'd love to hear from you. So let's put the telephone number up. If you want to call into the program, there's the number right there. So what made you leave the Watchtower? Well, what was the reason behind it? There had to be a reason. So by all means, don't be bashful. Come on and speak up. We're all friends here. We're all brothers and sisters. But, there's many reasons. But, when I first, 10 years ago, I married my beautiful wife here, Susan. And I met her on our radio program. My former wife died. And a couple of years afterwards, I married Susan. And she's from Chicago. And I liked her an awful lot. Even before we got romantically involved. And I really did like Susan because I'll tell you what she did for the 6 screens. She loved it so much. She used to listen in, and she called in from Chicago, and she wanted to move to Massachusetts where the 6 screens was, and she wanted to work for me for nothing. And I said, well, no, that'd be slave labor. So she came here, and she had a job. In fact, even when she in Chicago was running the hotline. And we had a telephone number where people would call in that didn't want to call into the radio program and be heard by everybody around the world. So they would call into the 6 screens hotline. And Susan would man that, and people would call in. Some days she got as many as 10, 12 calls a day from people that wanted to talk to her and see what she thought about it. Because, people don't have anyone to talk to in live time. But the main reason why people were leaving the Watchtower then, and I'm sure it's still the same today, it's a very unloving organization. It's very unloving. They don't show any love. Really, look what they do to families. Look what they do to discourage people and make people feel 2 feet high. You never get a pat on the back. You're never doing enough. So, after a while, this really plays on people, doesn't it? So you'd say, that's it. I've had enough. And then the internet, as we always say, is the great equalizer. The internet is how people will be able to find out what's going on behind the curtains. So unbelievable. So Susan is my wife now, and she did a great job on that hotline. And when she does better and gets better here, she had some health issues. But when Susan does better, I want to bring that hotline back on, so people who don't like to call in and be broadcasted all over the world can just call in and talk and get some encouragement. So we're glad to have the program here tonight. We got a program here we're calling, well, it's a different program tonight. Tell Your Story, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And we'll pull this program off from time to time to get people commenting and at least calling in and talking to us. Now, what was the thing that got you out of the Watchtower? Well, what can you really say got you out of the Watchtower? Can you think of something? Was it the UN? Was it false prophecy? Was it Johannes Grieber? What was it? Was it the generation that they kept changing the meaning of? Well, what got you out of the Watchtower? Why don't you just dial into our program here tonight, 727-731-6701, and then I would think you'd be pleased to tell your story. I mean, I couldn't tell my story enough when I was getting out of the Watchtower. And it's good for you. It'll get it off your chest a little bit. It really, really would. So go ahead. Let's hear from 805. 805, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hi, Rick. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Who's this?
Hi, my name's Keith.
Well, hello, Keith. I'm glad to have you calling in tonight. I think you're new here, right?
Relatively. I watch your show sometimes.
Good. Thank you.
I've called in before. Yeah. Everybody's got different reasons they leave. You don't really realize it's high control if you're born in. It's all you've ever known. So I was born in, and I believed it. I believed a lot of it. And, who doesn't want to live in a harmonious world and all of that? So, that's not a bad idea. And I tend to agree with some of the moral standards that I was taught. But, that's a different subject. But I think the biggest thing was the fact that they're deliberately lying. Just the authority that they profess that they have, and then, the lies that they told. And I think being lied to is, when you discover it, it's a very difficult thing to ever respect the people again. So that was, for me, it was that, and a combination of just the stress of keeping up with the schedule. I mean, they're always pressuring you to give them more, give more, give more, and you never feel good enough. And it's very much, they're like bullies in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, my stories, a lot of the born-ins are the same. You wake up, I don't know, something happened. My wife got really sick, and a lot of stress in our life, and I just couldn't keep up with the schedule anymore, and I felt so depressed and so worthless. And I think they engender that, and especially when you're young, you just feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. I got to do more. I got to do more. So that's common, and then mental illness that goes along with that, the depression and all of that. So yeah, it's been an interesting thing. But I think after I went on the internet, as you say, it's a great equalizer, and I saw Ray Franz, and once I went down that rabbit hole, started watching you and others. There's so many people that have left for legitimate reasons, and I realized that I've been lied to, and that they just want to slave. They want people to slave for them and continue to have free labor, money, and just continue holding paradise earth in front of people as, they see themselves as, well, I don't know if they do, but they pretend that their, salvation belongs to them, really. And that's disgusting to me. I still believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, but I don't believe that they have the authority. Once you realize the old literature, especially, you read the old literature and the new literature, it's all just made up. So yeah, that was really disillusioning, but I'm glad to be out. I have some friends on the outside now, finally, that really love me for me. And it's, there's still love it's hard because you lose your whole community and everybody you've ever known. But anyway, that's my story, and grateful for your show and all the people that have had the courage to walk away, as difficult as it is. Moms and dads and brothers and sisters and family, people you've known your whole life, think you're bad because you left, and it's hard not to internalize that, as one of the earlier callers said. But knowing that you can still be a good person, it's not your fault. They really did manipulate us, and all of that. So, but I'm grateful for the show. Wishing everybody healing and good life after this. It's possible. You don't have to be bitter and angry. You can still be kind and loving and all those things. I think there's a lot more people in the world that aren't as bad as they said they were. So anyway, thanks a lot, and I hope your show keeps going and helps a lot more people have the integrity and the courage to leave, because it really does take those things. I admire people that leave. You're sacrificing quite a bit, and you're standing up for what's right. So anyway, all right, thanks.
Well, really, I appreciate that too, Keith. I really do. And thank you for speaking up here tonight. That's wonderful to hear what you had to say. And you keep standing tall. Don't you ever give in, up or out. I'm proud of you too. Just keep standing tall, Keith. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick. Love your show.
Oh, thank you. All righty. Well, that's Keith calling in from California. So, friends, people call in from all over the country, all over the world. They want to share their story. Let's go to 301. Let's see what 301 has to say. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Tyrone. I'm from PG County, Clinton, Maryland. Thanks for having me, first of all. But I would say I woke up during COVID. I want to say that I actually woke up trying to be a better Bible student. One of my specialties, I would say, in my opinion, during the meetings was commenting during the Bible highlights. Because of my limited privileges and sealing within the organization due to me being disfellowshipped 3 times, I had limitations in which I was going to at least wait a certain period of time before I qualified to be a servant. So therefore, I valued my comments highly. Long story short, in my congregation, I was like one of the, according to other people, like one of the top commenters, I would say, just based on the praise and the reciprocation of the friends. So I was desperate to keep that narrative or reputation. So with that being said, the Watchtower Library ended up not being enough for me to satisfy a uniqueness in my comments. And that led me to venturing outside of the Watchtower in order to get a different interpretation for the scriptures, in order to encourage the friends from a different avenue. And it led me to this gentleman named Bob Utley, who was a dude that had a long Bible series. Long story short, I used this guy's commentary a lot to add to my comments during the Bible highlights, and I was getting praise and recognition from it and commendation from it. But then I ran into his opinion on 607 and the Trinity, and I found myself being immediately dismissive to his opinions on that. But for some reason, I asked myself, why was I so dismissive on that when I agreed with him on everything else? And not only agreed with him on everything else, I actually benefited the friends, according to them, by commenting on everything else that he commented on outside of that. So anyway, I guess that's when my biasness dropped, and I was able to say, okay, why don't we believe in 607? And it was like the Jenga cards was coming down. And so anyway, I literally called my elders, 2 elders at a time, 2-hour conversation each. 2 elders who couldn't answer my questions. They got another 2 elders, 2 hours again. And I would say that's when my heart was broken, because as much as I didn't want to be right, it was clear that the elders didn't know the answers to my questions scripturally. And I guess I'm actually very happy that I wasn't disfellowshipped while I reached this conclusion, because a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses automatically like to find a reason why you're bitter, a reason why you have a reason to leave. But I was very active in the congregation. But anyway, so after I spoke to the elders extensively about my questions and they weren't able to answer it, that's when Like I just couldn't sleep because I just couldn't believe what was going on. So that's where I'm at right now. I appreciate your activism and everything like that, but I woke up through self-study with actually the intention of being a better Bible student. And that's what led me to actually wake up into finding that their religion is no different than any other interpretation. And that's where I'm at now. And just like other witnesses, that led me to other religions, and I started studying other religions: Hinduism, Muslim, Islam, all that good stuff, Hebrew Israelites. And for me personally, and I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody, but to me, it sounds like everybody's talking about the same thing. They're just using different words based on their culture. They're the Krishna that the Hindu is talking about, the God that Islam protests. It's the same, in my opinion. And so, now I'm just trying to get to who was first before the traditional religions came into practice. And right now that's leading me to a spiritual aspect that I think is beautiful, because I'm very versatile in being open to different forms. Like I think that there are different forms of worship. I don't think there's one religion that is quote unquote right, but I believe there are different avenues set up depending on who you are and where you're from. But anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I respect the organization, as weird as that sounds. I respect them, but I don't agree with a lot of their I don't agree with a lot of their doctrines, but I don't agree with a lot of their policies. But man, ironically, I will say that depending on what you believe, I do believe the organization in some weird way was a protection for me to hold me in the enclosed environment until I was ready to fulfill my true role in this world, which might be a different subject of theology anyway. But that's my story, and I just hope that I'm alive to see the day the Watchtower falls. Personally, that obviously the person is right, but I believe that they're not built to be equipped to survive the age of knowledge, the age of accessibility. And I believe the time is coming now. I wish no harm on people, but I do wish the liberation of someone. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah. What do you think? Do you think that?
I'll tell you. No. In fact, what's your name, sir?
My name is Tyrone.
Well, Tyrone, I have to tell you, really, I have to give you a gold star. You sound like a really sharp guy. I like a number of things that you said in your little narrative here tonight. But, you said you respect the Watchtower, but you see that they're dead wrong on so many things. And also the other thing that I see, that you're a man that's seeking. See, you're seeking. You didn't leave God because you left the Watchtower. You're still seeking. And I like to hear that from people, because the Watchtower's damaged people so much spiritually. There's so many ex-witnesses that they don't want anything to do with God whatsoever. And I can even understand their position. And maybe God will even be able to be the judge on this, because, the Watchtower's hurt them so badly. But Tyrone, I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story. Now, don't you be a stranger. You come back and see us again, okay?
Okay, well, thank you for that acknowledgement and your attention. I'll come back again, and thank you again, and have a nice night for everybody listening.
Well, you too. Thank you. So there you go. See that? We got people calling in from pretty much all over the place. And, the Watchtower has hurt so many people. And they're out there. And if you have been hurt by the Watchtower, you'd like to talk a little bit about it, let's talk to 732. Let's see what they have to say. 732, you're on with us.
Hi, Rick. It's Richard again. Yeah, I left around 1994, 1995. I was a teenager when I left. And times were very different back then. As you know, we didn't have the internet so much. We didn't have the social support that we get these days. When you leave the organization, not only is there abundance of information that's just at your fingertips because of the internet. But also nowadays there's support networks from like this show never used to exist. There's Facebook groups and Reddit, and there's all these different places you can go and get support. And so some of us, when we leave, I remember leaving as a teenager, it was mainly the rules that just ground you down, and that's why I really left originally. And then when I think it was 2012 though, that I actually broke free mentally, because in 2012 I was living in Africa, and I decided I would start going back to the Kingdom Hall just to see if there was anything I'd missed, because, you know, you leave when you're a young guy, you wonder, you know, is it just me or was it them? And at the same time, I was talking to a lot of people in different places in the world, all about the organization, and they were saying, watch out for this, watch out for that, look for this, look for that. And as they were talking, every week that I would go to the Kingdom Hall, I kept seeing exactly what they were saying. And in the end, you start to see through everything, and you start to see how your life is taken away, how they don't have the truth, and how they're basically turned into drones. And yeah, so in 2012 was when I was able to make like the mental break from the Watchtower. So it wasn't an easy journey at all by any means, but I'm glad I'm out, and it's nice that these platforms still exist. I remember actually when you did start this up, was that 18 years ago now?
Yeah, going on 18 years. Be 18 years in November on January 26th coming up. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember when you started these things up, and then we also had Mr. Bowen, and he had the Silent Lambs, and that was a wake-up call as well around 2000. I remember that being. And so the internet has been very useful for people like myself, connecting with other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and also being able to meet up with them in person and being able to break free mentally, because they're saying, well, look, even if you still believe in God, well, this is where they took the Bible and this is what they did with it, and this is where you will start to see. And sometimes it's a process, sometimes it's an overload, but just be kind. I think one of the things I want to say to people who are getting out right now is be kind to yourself, because I think sometimes we are very harsh on ourselves when we first leave. And I just want people to understand that it's okay, and just be kind to yourself.
Yeah, well, that's a good comment. And now let me ask you this: what keeps you awake at night concerning the Watchtower? Is there anything that keeps you awake and you think about constantly about the Watchtower?
What keeps me awake is how they're still existing with all these pedophiles. Okay, so people have spoken about the sound of freedom. Actually, there's family, friends. So they've got some family who are actually friends with the person who the story is based on. So it's kind of very interesting to see that. But I think really the hiding of the pedophiles in the Watchtower is disgusting. And like, I don't mind what people believe. I've come to that realization that as long as it's not hurting somebody, I don't mind what you practice as long as you're not hurting somebody. But as soon as your doctrines and your practice start to hurt somebody, then you have to speak up. And I remember recently during the pandemic, I got an email, or it was a handwritten letter, and from somebody, and they had an email address that I could respond to. So I responded to the email address, and I quoted the Australian Royal Commission. I spoke about how the Jehovah's Witnesses break up families, how I've sat down and spoke with many people who have been in tears because of how they've been treated, how they've been shunned, and why would I want to join an organization that if all of my family became, if me and my kids became Jehovah's Witnesses, and then one of them decided to leave, that I would then have to hate them. I said that to me is insane that I would even consider that, you know. And so it was fun, actually. It was kind of cathartic, you know, just letting it all out on there. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that keeps me awake is the lack of protection for children amongst the Jehovah's Witnesses. Statistics after the Royal Australian Commission came out showed that in Australia alone, you are 7 times more likely to be molested inside of the Jehovah's Witness organization than you are in the Catholic Church. And when the Catholic Church have 1 billion people and the Watchtower have, what, 7 million? That's scary statistics.
Well,
and then if you put that, yeah.
Yeah,
So
no, that's great
scale,
statistics. That's amazing. My goodness gracious, yes.
Yeah. So then, if you think about it, what the statistics worldwide might total, it's a terrifying prospect. But in Australia alone, you're 7 times more likely. So it's weird that you would be safer leaving your child with a Catholic priest in Australia than you would in the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's amazing. Well, no doubt. I mean, I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us tonight and what keeps you awake. Boy, I'll tell you that's a very good comment. Yeah, well, how is it that they can hide all these pedophiles and get away with it? That keeps a lot of people awake. Thank you for sharing your thoughts tonight. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, one thing that keeps me awake, I'll tell you right now, I toss and turn. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll say, what is the glue? What is the glue that holds this organization together? It's just so remarkable that people want to be so loyal, so committed to a corrupt organization. That's what I'm saying. What is it? Is it hypnosis? I mean, what a witness is getting out of this? Zero. What does a witness get? They don't even get a pat on the back. They don't get any help financially from Watchtower. Zero. Zilch. Nothing. That's what keeps me awake. What's the glue that holds this organization together? But it's coming apart. It's beginning to come apart. Well, let's go. We do have another caller coming in. Let's go with 727. You're on with us, 727.
Hey, Rick, this is Elaine. Couple of things. I wanted to tell you what the glue is that holds them together. It's fear and terror. We know that Deuteronomy 18 says, basically, the fingerprint of a false prophet is fear. So when a false prophet says something and it doesn't come true, what does the Bible say? Don't be afraid of him. So we know that the organization terrorizes the publishers, the indoctrinated. I know this because what do I do on my YouTube channel? I recap their Watchtower study articles every single week. I've done it for the last 3 weeks. For the last 3 years. And I prove them to be the liars that they are from their own publications and the very scriptures that they cite. So what's the glue? It's fear. They're so afraid. And what I wanted to say to you was that I got out in the late 80s, and I'm second generation. I was born in. And when I got out, I don't know, I was in La La Land. I didn't know that there were any support groups at all until like 2019. I was lost. But when I got out, the reason I got out was because I believed their lies about me, that I wasn't worthy. And because I could never pay attention, and I hated being a Jehovah's Witness, I felt that there was something wrong with me. So I said, if this is what serving God is like, serving the devil can't be any worse. So I thought that I was selling my soul to the devil when I basically threw in the towel, thinking that I wasn't worthy of God's love. And that's why I got out. It wasn't anything doctrinal. I still believed it. I just felt that I wasn't worthy. And I went for the next 20 years believing that I was worthless. And it wasn't until I got my head straight and realized that I was not serving the God of the Bible, that all of the lies diffused in my head, and I realized how loved I was, and that Jesus died for me. So I really have enjoyed so much hearing the callers say why they got out, especially those who got out during the pandemic. And I think it was Tyrone who said that he was looking for more elaborate answers and learn the truth. That's beautiful when you research to be a Jehovah's Witness and you realize that it's not, it's all just a bunch of lies. And then just lastly, when I recapped the study article, I don't even know what is today, Saturday, the study article that they're going to be studying this weekend, basically saying that, you know what, if you're not motivated to stand at a cart and to write letters and to knock on doors, then there's something wrong with you. And that's basically the MO of the organization. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, Elaine, that's an excellent, really, I have to give you a gold star on that one because I love that comment. And, you know, you mentioned something I have heard in close to 18 years of doing this program. I thought there was something wrong with me. I've heard that so many times that when people get out of the watchtower and they just feel so lonely and so discouraged and depressed, they say, geez, there must be something wrong with me. That's a terrible burden to put on people. But geez, you experience it, and so many people that call in, Elaine. But you do a great job. You're a positive-minded woman. You've got a great attitude. You're helping a lot of people too. And we're all proud of you, Elaine. The people on YouTube love you. They're writing in here as you speak how glad they are to hear you speak up. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now,
Well,
let me ask you. Let me ask you one question. Now, what keeps you awake at night about the Watchtower? What would you say is the predominant thought?
You know, I just pray for my family. It's been 35 years, Rick. 35 years that I've been shunned by my family. Every member of my family. I'm the only one who got out. I'm the youngest of my whole family, the smallest. I'm not even 5 feet tall. How did I get out? And they didn't get out. How are they still surviving being a witness? Because it would have killed me. And that's what I said in the late 80s. I'm going to die if I don't get out of this organization one way or another. How are they still doing it? What keeps me awake is my family members coming to the truth, which is Jesus, and getting out from bondage and just walking away, and all the rest of them. And it's happening. Not for my family yet. We don't know. Maybe they're PMOs. Maybe they're just too afraid. I don't know. I've got a nephew who's a circuit overseer. I don't talk about him, but he's way up there and he's very well known. And that's a story in and of itself that I've not talked about yet. But one of these days, I just know they're going to walk out, and the rest of them, I want them all out of this bondage of this very, very evil, wicked organization. It's one of the most evil organizations on earth. And we were all sucked into it, and they all lied to us. That's hard to fathom, but it just shows you the power of the thought reform that they had over us. But here's the key. We conquered them. We walked away. That is such a success story. And we did it. And we have to keep moving forward and not get stuck on what happened to us, because you know what, they're in our past. And now what we need to do is we need to welcome all of those who come out with open arms, because I hear it on this show. I hear everybody call each other brother, yes, sister, yes, we're here for you. What can we do to help? And that's our job right now, is to help those coming out.
Well said, Elaine. And I have to tell you, the good news is we're going to, in fact, I've been getting so many emails from people telling me that they're being in contact with family and friends that haven't spoke to them for years. And this has even happened with me. It's happened with me. I've had some really close relatives. I don't want to say who they were, but really close relatives in the last couple of years that have contacted me. A number of them, not just one, a number of them have contacted me and said, Rick, we don't want to say anything, but I see you on YouTube and on Facebook and all of that. And we're done. We're done, but we're still kind of working our way out. And then when we did a protest at the convention about a month ago up here in Massachusetts, I couldn't believe the people.
That was great. I loved it.
Geez, the people waving at us, beeping horns, taking pictures as like we were rock stars. I couldn't believe it.
You were. I was watching you live, and I had such a big smile on my face. That was so wonderful. And to see the people, some of them, like that one guy had stopped his car way in the distance. He didn't even want to be anywhere near you, but he was like one of the only ones. All of the other people were just right there and waving to you. That was so wonderful.
Oh, it was. In fact, I went out of there. I took everyone out to dinner. I said, man, I'm so happy tonight I could do the happy dance. We all went out to, we couldn't stop talking about it. But it was so nice. And one woman pulled up, rolled the window down. She says, man, I am glad you guys showed up. She says, I just can't take this anymore. I'm a PMO and I've had it. I can't take it. Thank you for exposing this. And that's what you have to do. And that's what we're all doing. You as an activist and all of the people, Mike and Kimmy and all of the other people too, that are all exposing the Watchtower. Hey, we're all united together, all united, exposing these bums for who they are. Elaine, you're a good woman.
Well, thank you.
Don't.
Rick, I wanted to say
go ahead. Sure,
thing.
yeah.
So, when I got out in the late 80s, I floundered for 20 years in living a life of defeat because I believed the lies. And when my eyes were finally opened of really what happened to us, and I was lied to, when I realized Jesus died for me and I realized the truth of who God really was, I realized that we were not serving God. I agonized over, oh my gosh, that's really, really what happened to us. And my prayer was, God, when is it going to be time for the cult? When are the Jehovah's Witnesses going to get a glimpse? Something's got to happen. When? And I prayed that prayer for 15 years. And it's happening now because they're coming out in droves. And it's just, I can't say it's hard to believe, but it's hard to believe after 150 years or so that the Jehovah's Witnesses are waking up and they're saying, enough, we're done with you losers. We're not going to be your good for nothing slaves anymore. And praise God for that.
Isn't that something? And I have to, in fact, it's funny. You're just saying it's so hard to even believe it. It's even hard for me. It seems so unbelievable, but we're seeing it. And I mean, really up front and close. And I can even tell you by the people listening in here and calling in, I see so many new numbers. And a lot of these people, they won't speak up. I mean, we got hundreds of people. You only hear about 1/10 of the people that are calling in. And they will not speak. They will not speak up. So it's just amazing to me. But anyways, thank you very much, Elaine, for popping in here today. You're a good woman. Don't you ever change, Elaine. We love you, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. All right, let's go with 209. 209. Go ahead, 209. You're on with us. What do you want to say, 209? Okay. You don't want to say anything? 209? I think that's California, is it? I'm not sure. But anyways, we're on the 6 screens of the Watchtower. We got a program here going tonight. Tell your story of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. What is keeping you awake at night? My goodness, go ahead. Don't be afraid. Boy, we had so many. Yes, go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Elaine, I hope she's still listening, but it's not only the witnesses that are waking up. I think I called you last week. So I just got finished with a service at a church where all the Christians are starting to realize how devastating this religion is. And they're starting to learn how to witness to the witness. And I don't know if you remember when I called, I was so pumped up that night because that church was full of people wanting to know about this.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's a lot of people now, it's not just the witnesses, a lot of people are finding out about this nasty organization. And my goodness, how could they miss it with what's going on in Pennsylvania, with newspaper articles, news broadcast on TV? How could you miss it? The Jehovah's Witnesses right now are under attack. Bombs are being dropped on them every day. They're fighting their way out of a war. So and we're all winning. We're all winning the war. So that's a wonderful thing, Mike. And like Elaine just said, it's hard to believe, but I get excited because, I have a lot of relatives. I have 60, 70 relatives still in it. And many people listening to this broadcast tonight do as well. And I'm starting to hear from them. A number of them have contacted me. I can't say who, they're still a little skittish, you know what I mean? So they, but they have contacted me. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also wanted to tell Elaine, I realized the grace of Jesus Christ myself too, after 10 years of living a terrible life. And I used to play in the clubs, and I always finished with a song called Peaceful Easy Feeling of the Eagles. And Elaine, if you look at my Facebook page, Michael King, One True North, you'll see a video or a song that I recorded to Amazing Grace, God's Amazing Grace. And I did it to the melody of Peaceful Easy Feeling of the Eagles. And because I had such a peaceful, easy feeling over my soul when I truly understood God's grace. And I think that song might give her comfort also, and she would enjoy it. So I just wanted to mention that to her.
Well, she'll appreciate that, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Michael. And you're a good Christian man, and don't you ever change either. Well, we have got a pasta babe. She's going to be coming up. She's scheduled to come on at 11. So we're going to be hearing from a pasta babe here very shortly. But I'll tell you, what a rockin' awesome night we had here tonight with JW World News and, of course, Anne-Marie's program, Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. And this program here, a new program we just started tonight, tell your story of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and what keeps you awake at night concerning the witnesses. Very, very good program. I mean, a lot of people called in and people like it. So that's an amazing thing. So we do have a few minutes left here before a pasta babe comes on. Yeah, she is scheduled here at 11. So let me just take a look at the queue here and see if she's in there. No, she's not in there yet. But her program is scheduled for 11. So we'll be here and I come on shortly. But if you'd like to speak up, if you'd like to tell us what keeps you awake at night concerning the Watchtower, well, now would be the time to do
Mr. Barron?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us.
Mr. Barron?
Yes.
I'll be extremely brief. One of the things, I already talked about what got me out, but one of the things that really cinched it, I don't know about you, but sometimes when you first leave, you kind of wonder if you did the right thing, And way back in the day, I was the reader for the book study. And if my memory serves me correct, we went over the Revelation book twice for the congregation book study. And I was the reader for both times. And the language that Watchtower used to hurl at false religion and at the governments in general, and specifically at the United Nations. And I remember that because, again, I did the reading for both instances of that Revelation book, only to find out from the Guardian newspaper that Watchtower was a member of the United Nations for a little under a decade. And that really just cinched that this organization is not from God.
Well, there you have it. I mean, that's a good reason. I'll go with you with that one. Well, thank you very much. Let's go to 414. 414, you're on with us. 414, did you want to speak up? You're on with us. You're unmuted. I believe it's Milwaukee. I think it's Wisconsin. You want to speak up? You're on with us.
Hey, Rick, it's Rochelle. I'm just saying hi. I know a lot of people want to come in and talk.
Yeah, hello, Rochelle. Good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you. You got a good, snappy, good, positive attitude, Rochelle. Oh, always good to hear from you, buddy. Yep.
Yep. Let your wife know I said hi.
I sure will. So, well, while I got you on, I mean, what made you leave the Watchtower, Rochelle?
Oh, the doctrine mainly, and then my aunt being shunned and disfellowshipped by the whole family, being shunned by the whole family.
Yeah.
That really was what made me wake up and leave. And doctrine and just people there being like, just realizing that it wasn't what I thought it was. Like the abuse, and it's a lot of hidden abuse at the Kingdom Hall. A lot of hidden abuse. I'm not saying, you know, it could be like that with a lot of other people who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, but with other religions, I mean, with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's just something so hypocritical with them that makes it even worse. You know, I don't know how to explain it.
Well, when
you know what I mean.
when you lay in bed at night, Rochelle, and you think about your trek and the witnesses, and you think about the witnesses today, well, what keeps you awake at night? Is there any one thing that you think about?
Probably like the doctrine and like the fact that I think in the future it might become even more like highly controlled in the future, even more so than what it already is.
Yeah, that's it. That's how they do control. That's something too that we all think about. How do they pull this off? It's just totally amazing, Rochelle. Totally amazing. Well, good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you. I like your positive, snappy way. You're a good lady, and we hope you'll continue to listen in from time to time. Always good to hear from you. Thank you, Rochelle.
Hello, Rick.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Michelle. Yeah, go ahead. You're on with us. I guess looks like Thomas Hodgins out of Lawrence, Kansas.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I haven't spoke for a while. I just wanted to chime in a little bit. Yeah, I'd say what, it's kind of would keep me awake at night was just thinking about all the hatred in the organization, how they, you see them in a store, or if you work around somebody that's a Jehovah's Witness, they'll just go completely out of their way to avoid you, even at your job. And even in the parking lot, this JW family used to park not so far from me, but now they park clear on the other side of the building, just obviously to get away from me. If I see them at a gym, I've had 7 or 8 times this one guy will just up and leave as soon as he sees me. It's just unbelievable. The hatred. It's just how they just go out of their way just to throw it in your face. It's just, there's no way it could be from God. I mean, this has to be from the work of the devil. It's a man-made organization, man-made theology. That and just Raymond Francis' 2 books. I mean, I just thought they were so outstanding. That's what helped me to get out. Once I realized that there was something desperately wrong with this organization, and just all the people that have, just like that lady who came on earlier, 35 years and hasn't even had any contact with her family. That is just so horrible. And you hear of cases where people lose a loved one, they don't even tell you they've died sometimes in some cases. And just like Larry John Wayne, what he went through, they didn't even want to acknowledge him as being a brother, or rather a son. It's crazy. It's just so horrible.
It is horrible. It's terrible. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
well, how are you doing otherwise, Tom?
I
Things are moving away in the right direction for you.
Yeah, going pretty good. Yeah, just trying to see if I can't retire one of these days. It's not going to happen yet, but maybe one of these days. I just have to put my best foot forward. But I enjoy my job, but it would be kind of nice to eventually be able to retire. But anyway. Have you heard anything on the building project with the media center?
No, it's still they're still kind of closed mouth about that. No one's saying too much about the media center. I mean, I'm not sure they're going to even go forth with it. I mean, no one's, even the Watchtower's not talking about it. So we'll only see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they see the nail in the coffin. I'll be real surprised if they do. That's a huge expenditure if they do that. Like over $500 million or something like that. Oh man, I'd be surprised, but who knows? Time will tell. I think it's just a scam to get money, but time will tell. And then put pressure on people to get that COVID shot, and then all this lockdown and everything. That really put the squeeze on the Watchtower. People are waking up more. I'm hearing it more and more all the time. That's good news.
Well, it's darn good news. We really, really like to hear news like that, Thomas. It's all good. I mean, some of the stuff you've been listening for a long time, but boy, I'll tell you, everything is changing rapidly. It's unbelievable.
Sure is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Every Saturday night, I just look forward to coming on your conference, Rick. It's just every Saturday night, man. I don't think I've hardly missed any, just a few. Of all these years, I love it.
Well,
I can't thank you enough, and all the people that come on and encourage me and help me with it. It's a blessing.
well, it's helped a lot of people. Helps me too. I mean, I stay right up to date on what's going on behind the curtain. So it's an amazing thing, Thomas. And geez, it's always so good to hear from you. You got a good up way about you as well. You keep moving in the right direction. We love you, buddy. Keep cranking.
Likewise, you take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Too.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
All right. We have got 602. 602. You want to come in? You're on with us.
Hey, Rick, just real quick, I'll sum up my life story as a Jehovah's Witness. My brother Joe, I remember talking to him. He was alive, right? And
Yeah.
I could talk to him. And I said, I go, Joe, I always lose with Jehovah. I can never win. I go, at least when you go to Las Vegas, you know, you could win a few hands at the poker game. You win a few hands at the blackjack. But I always lose with Jehovah. I can never win. But he got mad at me. He's like, don't ever say that. Like if I was sinning against Holy Spirit. But that's my experience. Everything is like, no, you lose, I win. I go, Jehovah, can I go to the prom? No. Hey, Jehovah, can I play baseball? No. I'm always losing with this guy.
Well,
of course, we know Jehovah.
We all lose. We all lose with that guy. Yes.
Yeah, we know that we're not talking about, it's the Jehovah of Watchtower. So for those of you, but yeah, it's a losing, you know, and now, at least now that I'm out, I win sometimes. I still lose, but it's a give and take, and it's beautiful. I win some and I lose some.
Well, there you go.
I like it. I like it this way.
So what, let me ask you this, Gilbert, what keeps you awake at night about the Watchtower? Anything?
I just hope they don't hurt them physically. I know they already hurt them physically by getting involved in their medical decisions. You know, we should never, ever, you know, we never want to have blood on our hands, you know, by getting involved in people's medical. But I just hope they don't take it further and hurt them even more, like Jim Jones type. That's just the only thing, you know. I just don't want them to hurt. I just don't want them to be hurt that way, like give the ultimate sacrifice. That's just my fear. I pray that doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, some people have voiced that on here. I mean, what happens? The end times or the ending of cults usually isn't a great thing. Usually bad things happen. So let's hope that doesn't happen with the Watchtower.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So, well, just keep praying for the people in, and more people are coming out. So that's a good thing, Gilbert.
Okay, thank you.
And I know pretty soon you will be a governing body member if you keep this up. GB.
You got that right.
GG for governing body member. Here you go. All right. Well, we got a Pasta Babe coming on. Looking for a Pasta Babe. You on the radio line with us, Linda? Let us know what you're doing. We're getting ready to get you on here. Hello?
Hi, Rick.
Yes, Linda.
Hi.
You coming on?
Yes. So I'm scheduled to come on in like 15 minutes. So
no,
I'm
actually, you were scheduled to come on 11. I wrote you today. Yep.
I missed that. I just listened to the thing that you said to listen to, and I just now went to the messenger. So I'm not going to take much longer.
All right.
And I'll
tell you, I don't know if we can wait.
You do this to me, and it really bothers me. It makes me feel so defeated, because you'll tell me one time and then you'll switch it up, which I understand, but then I miss the message. So I'm functioning on time that I think it is, but then there's this hurry up, and then we can't wait for you. And I'm just feel so defeated in that.
Well, Linda, I've been on. I'm not complaining here. I've been on since 7 o'clock, actually 5:30 tonight, and I'm tired. Yes. I mean, I'm 75 years old. I'm tired.
I don't blame you.
So, I mean, you know what it's like on your program as well. So I would hope that, you know, I'm not chaste. I'm not saying a thing. I'm just saying that, you know, I would like to have everyone when the program's ready. I mean, I'm not blaming you. Maybe you missed it today, but I write you every week. I tell you when you come on, right?
Well, you told me to listen to this thing, the first.
Okay. Well, we won't get just.
And told me to get the time from that, and that's what I've been functioning on today. And I'm So sorry that I didn't even think to
It's
look
okay.
at
No,
the
I'm not.
messenger.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad or anything. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all at you. Don't take it as that.
No, I don't think you are. I'm just having to use my words because this seems to be a rodeo we keep visiting, honey.
Well, there's certain times. In other words, every every 2 weeks you come on. In other words, you come on at certain times. Sometimes you come on at 11. Other times you come on the other weekends. We wait for you too, and it's certainly I give you time every week. That's when your program will be on. So that's what I want you to just be aware of, for your own sake. I don't want you under stress.
What I'm saying is I didn't know the time change that you gave me. I went by the original time that you announced before the shows all started. I didn't know there was a time change, so I'm not functioning under the time change, but I'm functioning under the original time that you said I would be on from that beginning thing that you say.
Yeah,
have so and so
we have. Yeah, what did I say on that today? Did I say what time?
11:30.
I said 11:30. Did I?
And I'm making a point of writing down the time.
Well, no. If I said that, I apologize to you. So don't you worry about it. Okay? Don't you worry about it.
Okay.
All right.
I'll work on getting ready even quicker, and maybe this rodeo will be a much better time soon. Okay.
All right. So yeah. Okay. It's fine. I mean, it's okay. So we'll give you some. Take 15 minutes. We still get a lot of people coming in here.
Okay.
So go ahead and do that.
I'm loving everybody that's saying what they have to say. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll be ready soon.
Okay. Good. Thank you. All right. So that's Apostle Babe. She'll be coming on here very, very shortly. I know you guys. You asked me when's she coming on. But maybe I did mess up. Maybe I gave her the wrong time. I don't know. So if I did, I apologize. But anyways, we'll get her a program on here very shortly. All right. So, okay. So yeah, they appreciate Apostle Babe. They love her as well. Yeah, we do. We all love Apostle Babe. It's just what happens is I'm afraid that people will leave. See, that's what I'm afraid of. They're waiting for Apostle Babe. They want me out of here. They're waiting for Apostle Babe to come on. So people might just take off on us. But I want to get as many people coming into her program as we can. So that's one of the issues that I have. It's so important to work on a time schedule. But we'll get it right. It's nobody's fault here. So we'll be all right. All right. So let's move on here. Let's see what else is going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, we've been talking here tonight about telling your story of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and what is it that keeps you awake at night. So who would like to come on? Anyone want to come on and tell us what their story is? We got a little extended hour going on here. We got a little more program to go here before Linda comes on. So if you'd like to come on, what keeps you awake? Stop and think about it. What keeps you awake at night? Do you think about the Watchtower at all now that you're out of it? What keeps you awake? We had people say that the pedophilia problem keeps them awake. I told you what keeps me awake, and that would be, thinking about what's the glue that holds this silly organization together. I still don't know what the glue is. So we're here talking to people tonight, telling this story. So let's go with 603. You're on with us, New Hampshire.
Hi, this is Tom. Yeah. One thing that keeps me awake is, despite the fact that I have a huge family that are witnesses, and they knew, and were aware of all the pedophilia that was going on, and the cover-ups and all that. And I actually have one of my cousins is now, I've learned recently, is a circuit overseer. And I have another cousin that is a district overseer in another state. And so regardless of all of the things that everybody is aware of, these people, it is taking control of their lives, and they don't see it. And, it's just the way it is. And that's, I don't understand how they can actually go that far and that extreme, knowing how corrupt the whole organization is.
Yeah. Well, what keeps you awake at night, Tom? What keeps you awake?
Well, that does. That keeps me awake.
Yeah.
How can he become a circuit overseer knowing how corrupt everything is? Because he saw everything that I saw. He's my cousin. He's my age. He's a little younger. We grew up together, you know, and he has brothers that he, you know, that they have left, and they're, you know, a couple of them actually ended up being homosexual, and married other men, but for some reason he is just holier than thou and becomes a circuit overseer. How does that work? You know, I just don't understand how they can you know, have all these relatives that realize this is bull, and then they can keep going to that extreme. That bothers me. It really does.
Well, bother anybody, Tom. Absolutely, it would. Well, thank you for calling in. Thank you for being with us tonight. I always enjoy you calling in and talking to us, Tom. Thank you very much. Well, you were on a new program we have started here. We're going to do this once in a while. It's ex-Jehovah's Witnesses call in and tell us about coming into the Watchtower. So how they got out of the Watchtower and what keeps them awake at night. So you're on here with us. So we're glad you're here tonight. We're waiting for Apostle Babe to come on. She'll be coming on here very shortly. So let's wait for her. In the meantime, we can continue with our program. And we're listening to people calling from pretty much all over the place, all across America, as well as all around the world as well. So give us a call if you like, and we'll bring you on, and you can tell us what your problem has been with the Watchtower. Why'd you leave? Was it the UN? What was it that made you leave? Was it the pedophile, child sex abuse that made you leave? What made you leave the Watchtower? And what when you lay in bed at night, what do you think? What do you think is going on? Well, friends, I'm going to end this broadcast, and we're going to stay with us, pick up on Linda. She'll be coming in here in about 10, 15 minutes. We'll be back. But I want to thank you very much for coming into our broadcast tonight. And join us in about 10, 15 minutes. Linda will be back on with us. And I really appreciate you coming in tonight for this program. And all the people that spoke up, thank you very much for being part of the program tonight. So 6 Screens will end now for 15, 20 minutes before Linda comes on, and then we'll start the broadcast up again. Thank you very much, everyone. Keep waving that flag of victory. Apostle Babe coming up next, 15 minutes or so. Thank you very much. Bye now.